So I came outside and a squirrel or rat or something has chewed off one of my kale plants. I checked the rest of them. Doesn't look like there's any more damage to any other plants, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I don't know if that plant will make it. So for this video, I am harvesting the kale and cleaning it up. I'm using pretty much the same technique. Oh yeah, check your leaves when harvesting. Sometimes there's worms and bugs on them. I ended up cleaning that off when I washed the plants, but you can also do it like I sometimes pick that kind of stuff off while I'm harvesting, depending on how much of a rush I'm in. I don't know. But yeah, so as I harvest the kale, I'm taking the larger outer leaves to keep the plant nice and bushy and encourage broader leaf growth and less leggy stems. What do you think, little girl?
You see the greens? Yeah?
I got a little distracted filming Luna between harvesting the two separate kale beds. I hope y'all don't mind. I think she's adorable. Who doesn't love a little cat content in the garden? So on to the second kale bed. Same thing, taking the broader leaves off. Still bummed about that damaged stem, but what can you do? Part of the reason I like to have Luna come out in the garden is, well, for one, I think it's good for her little brain. She likes to listen to sounds, but I also hope it discourages the squirrels. I don't know if it works. City squirrels are fearless. Yeah, I thought I would show you guys today a little bit more footage of me making this kale into lunch. I actually left it in the fridge for a while. I did a harvest in the morning and just kind of had a small breakfast, but wanted to make lunch for Ty and I. We tend to, with the sausage, we'll buy a package of sausage and then we like cook it all at once because it keeps better cooked than raw. And we only lightly cook it, so then I can like brown it off when cooking it in other dishes. And I only use like 1 or 2 sausages at a time. This pepper I'm using is a habanero from my garden. I harvested a bunch of them a couple weeks ago, and just slow roasted them in the oven with olive oil and garlic. And I just keep them in the jar, mince them up to add some spice and flavor to dishes I make. They are pretty tasty. I think for my next harvest, I'm gonna experiment with storing the oven roasted habaneros either in olive oil or vinegar, or maybe I'll do a jar of each and see how, because it's supposed to keep them for longer. So I'm gonna see which I like better. I'm also adding some shallots to this mixture. I've actually never cooked with shallots before. They were something Ty bought for one of his Thai dishes, and we had a bunch left over. So I was like, you know what? They're just tiny onions, so I will use them as such. I actually struggled a little bit with cutting these. It doesn't help that this knife is pretty dull. I should have used the knife that Ty sharpened recently, but this is a very big knife and it felt very much like overkill given this task and like how small these ingredients are. So yeah, I'm just sauteing these in a pan. There's nothing like a little bit of pork fat and onion to add some nice flavor to your kale greens. And this is, if you wanted to make this vegetarian, you could easily just omit the sausage. Like I would probably just take the sausage out, add a little extra cooking oil, maybe some more onion for the juice and pepper. If you had tomatoes, you could saute them with the onions as well. If you like tomatoes, that's a good little, they've got that natural MSG, so cooking with them tends to make things tasty. But I tend to add sausage to things a fair amount because Ty is a big meat eater. It's kind of funny, sometimes it feels like cooking for a kid where like I have to disguise the taste of vegetables with the flavor of meat. You know, it is what it is. And then I use eggs just for like a little extra protein. And they're cheaper. I don't know. I feel slightly better about using eggs than I do meat. Just because, so eggs are something that chickens and birds in general kind of will produce regardless of whether or not they've been fertilized. And I mean, maybe it's a gross comparison, but an egg is basically a chicken's period, so it's something that they produce on a regular basis. And oftentimes conventional ones won't have access to a rooster, so the eggs won't be viable. So I don't know, you're just kind of, to me, eating an egg is taking advantage of a natural animal byproduct. And granted, I don't agree with a lot of the ways we farm and house egg-laying chickens. but you can kind of tell by the color of these yolks that these chickens have good access to, like, they have that bright orange, which is an indicator that these chickens have access to grass, um, which means they're from healthy animals.